So have you struggled with anything, in your business, when you've started, obviously, you're more established, but, any like obstacles or
Yeah.
challenges that, maybe some of us could learn from it? How do you handle that?
Yeah, the I would say the biggest when I jumped in and the scariest thing for me when I jumped in was how am I going to handle the parts of the business that I know nothing about, want to know nothing about? Not that I obviously have to know all parts of the business to some degree,
Yeah.
but just how do I handle the things that are not
Mm,
my strengths, right?
yeah.
So I made a great outsourcing decision in regard to accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll. One company handles all that for me.
Okay.
They even take out deductions for our medical, our 401k, et cetera. Um,
Mm,
Additionally, I made a terrific hire for my VP of operations. She handles every part of my operations side of the house.
wow.
So I don't have to worry about that at all. This allows me to focus on our bigger clients, strategy, prospects, and
Mm,
overseeing. We kind of have two umbrellas to our client side. We have one side of the house that handles a couple of our huge clients, and a couple small ones or medium-sized ones, and then we have one side of the house that handles the
okay.
majority of the rest of our
Okay.
clients, right? And so it allows me to kind of see what's going on with all of the clients, help where we have yellow or red clients, where we have some concerns. So it's really given me a lot of peace of mind being able to do that.
Excellent. Excellent.
Other
Now,
than that, I would say there's one other thing that we're still working through, and I didn't put this on there, but we have a very, very large client, and with that comes some inherent risk, right? And so we've had them for years, and it's great. But one of the things is we continue to work on is grow that other side I told you about
yeah, yeah.
of our account management team. We
Mm,
have one part of our account management team handling that client and a couple of others, and then one handling a plethora of other clients. We're really growing that other
yeah.
side to ensure that we can balance our client base and not have that big a risk.
I started 19 years ago. There wasn't much going on with internet in those days. People didn't even have an email address, never mind a website. And as you grow, things change. I just lost my thought there. Oh yes, and I had a whole lot of small clients. 300
Right.
small clients, and they would run you around. But I had some big clients. My biggest one came off LinkedIn, actually, was with Caterpillar. And I mean, they had a bigger
Mm.
agency than what we had, but they used us to help market some of their training to 3 African countries. So they thought with us being in
Mm.
South Africa, and we did that. It was a 6 month project, and they kept us on for 2.5 years. But when they left and did it
Wow.
on their own, it was a massive loss for us, because it
Yeah.
was almost 30% of our business.
Right.
And
Right.
then I think, oh, it's nice having a big client, but if you don't have a lot of small ones,
It's a risk. It's a
yeah,
risk,
yeah, it's
right? And I'll tell you,
absolutely.
that's what drove me to make the acquisition
Mm,
last year of the other agency
mm,
was to gain a bunch of those medium and small sized
right,
clients to help
right.
balance our portfolio.
Excellent. So with all your background and that, in corporate America, what skills, we've spoken a little bit, quite a bit about it, and I can see the
Yeah.
hiring and that, but the skills that you bring that's actually made a difference, because I think people in your situation who look at this can realize, this is what you can bring to a smaller business and really grow it.
Yeah. So in my roles within corporate America, of course, you've been in corporate America, I often presented and spoke to larger
Mm,
audiences and C-level executives. And I think doing this on a regular basis enabled me to speak easily with business owners,
mm,
executive level prospects, and our current client base. And, leading large departments and having to streamline processes, improve performance, it's also assisted me in doing the same for my business. From the technical side, I would say my clients now will look to me for, I do a lot of these value adds, it seems like, for clients, and I should probably charge something for it. But this in particular, they'll look to me to provide recommendations on certain technologies
okay.
or services or vendors
Mm,
as a result of my history in the technical
Yeah.
field. And so I do that for them a lot of times as a value add if time permits, rather than charging them anything for it, as long as they're like a decent sized client. And we have a great relationship. I'll do those things for them.
I've seen that talking to a few other consultants like Dominique and Nancy. They end up actually doing coaching for some of their clients as well. They start off offering them, but they've come with that skill, and then and Dominique's got this one page business plan coaching thing that he works with his clients on,
Nice.
which is fantastic. And I even got him he's been coaching us because I thought, well, that's great. I'm trying to do some succession planning at the moment.
There you go.
And so with that, it's really helped. And it's fascinating to see how you can, you offer so much more because of your background.
Right.
Which is
that's why I feel like when people, if they jump into WSI, they don't need to think of it as leaving another career behind, because you can take those skills and implement them here, right? Whatever you bring to the table, whatever your background, there's going to be an opportunity for you to use what you've learned and the things that you've accomplished.
So, listening to you along here, you actually are quite busy, and it sounds like you've got a good plan going. What do you see in the next year to 5 years? With you, it seems like you're on a growth path.
Yeah, we've been growing. It's been good. So from a business perspective, those two agencies, we're working to consolidate those. So into one WSI agency. So my team's working to consolidate that from an accounting perspective, an invoicing perspective, process perspective. And in doing so, they're going to be looking at how can we streamline those processes. So take the I guess, positive aspects of each, where the strengths are, and combine them.
Right.
And so that's the biggest thing we have going on now, so that we can operate as one business. QuickBooks, integrating two businesses on QuickBooks, it's kind of messy too. So just working through all of that is the biggest thing we have on our plate now. But we also have to do the same with the websites, right? So we have to consolidate those, all the 301 redirects and everything else once we figure out what we're going to do there. So that's the biggest thing that we have going on, is consolidating those businesses from front to back. Outside of that, so I recently I really recommend this book, Atomic Habits, if you've never read it. It's a really great book. What's that?
No, I haven't heard of that.
Oh, you haven't? Yeah. Okay. So James Clear, he's considered an expert in habits. And there's an accompanying workbook that I'm working through at the moment too. So I recently decided, okay, well, I'm going to have my leaders read this book. And what it talks about, and I'll give you a little, I'll digress just for a moment.
Yeah.
It talked about the English cycling team, where they had not won in years. And they got a new coach, and the new coach started doing some odd things, like changing the color of the paint of their bikes to white so they can see where their bikes are dirty. Bringing a doctor in to teach them how to wash their hands properly to reduce the chances of being sick. Using indoor cycling outfits versus outdoor, even when they're outdoor, because they're more streamlined and tighter and lighter weight. And so he started making these small incremental micro improvements, 1% improvements. And next thing you know, and they did several other things, right? It was one thing after another, but they were small changes. And they ended up winning everything, just consistently, right? Winning all the big races. So it was a great story in the book. But the key here was that micro habits and micro changes can have big impact. And so I want my employees to read that so that we can talk about, well, what and how can we apply this to our business and each other, and let's look at, maybe instead of trying to focus on a lot of things at once, which we tend to do if we're not careful, what kind of small things can we focus on that can have big impact, that low-hanging fruit? If we make small iterative habit changes in our business, how can we make bigger impact? So I want them to read the book first, and it's that time of year, of course, to do planning for 2023 and beyond. And so typically when we meet and talk about our 1, 3, 5, 10-year goals, right? When we meet as a team and do our strategic thinking, our tactical and strategic thinking and planning. for the year. So that's probably next on my list. And not
Okay.
probably is asking them to read that and let's talk about how we can apply that to our business.
I like that idea of small incremental changes. I've been also trying to drive it in our business, especially, like just doing things a little bit smarter,
Right.
saving time, having two screens to do something, just little things that I think they make you more productive at the end of the day.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
that's
Agreed.
really,
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at that book. Thanks for that.
That's a great book. Great book.
Yeah. So long term, 5 years,
Yeah. So 5 years, based on the trajectory of the business so far and the way that it's running, my goal would be that my team's able to pretty much successfully manage the WSI agency,
yeah,
and I would be kind of less than part-time at that point,
yeah,
and more focused on other business opportunities and continue to work with my wife in the marriage ministry. So that would be
Yeah.
my goal long term,
Excellent.
and really moving my head of ops into more of
Yeah.
that leadership role overall.
That's where I'm trying right now. I've been trying for a long time, but I think I've got it right. So
Nice.
I've got people in there, and it's we're on like a 3-year transition plan where I can
Yeah.
just do less.
I'll probably be around that. I hope.
Yeah.
3 to 5 for sure. I'll be
Yeah,
there.
definitely. So you started off in the middle of a franchise as such, but if you
Yeah.
focus on a new consultant comes and says, hey, Jeremy, what should I focus on if I'm going to buy into this sort of franchise?
Yeah, and this was the thing. If I did anything right, this was it. And it is focusing on my strengths and hiring or outsourcing for my weaknesses,
Yeah.
right? I think too many times people spend all of their time trying to work on their weaknesses instead of their strengths. And I think they'll move a lot faster and it'll be a lot better for them if they focus on really what they're good at and find that right person or that right supplier that can handle the things they're not as good at.
So I think, with what you've said there, if you think about it, it's if you have the right hires, you can delegate that stuff out without a problem.
Agreed.
And you feel safe, right? And
Right.
a lot of times with us, we've got some youngsters and you just, there's some mistakes coming, so you end up doing it yourself. And I think
That's
that's
true.
a trap that you can end up in. I think the good hire is exactly that, where you can trust them to get on with it,
Well, there's this one little slogan I heard when I was younger in leadership, and it's hire slow, fire fast. So take your time when you hire because it's so important.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
And if you don't fire fast, you could ruin and poison your team.
Yeah, absolutely. We have that problem here. It's not easy to get rid of people in our country, right? So I think in America it's different. You guys, you don't have...
Depending on the state, in my
Yeah.
state, especially in Texas, it's easier.
It's easier, yeah. So we've always got to, as we take people in, we've got to give ourselves that gap for both of us, to feel whether it's a right fit, Otherwise you can...
Another thing on that, Francois, one of the things we've started to doing is contract to hire that gives you a little bit more security in that regard.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we've been doing interns as well. So I've always built our business on the last, having been in it for 19 years and seen the churn and obviously worrying about it, I realized I may as well just give people their first jobs. So that's what we're doing. We're giving people a hell of an opportunity to come in, learn.
There you go.
Get in there, and we're not expecting you to stay with us, right? So we're going to get something out of you for 2 years maybe, and if you do stay, you will grow with the business, and also keeps your costs down. But you do need that middle management there, to help you manage that lot.
That sticks around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah,
agreed. Otherwise, you'll be doing it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Very
That's
good.
why I'm going to change my motto. Like my motto is like, well, with the team, it's not accepting second best, in a way of saying.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
If you do something and you don't do it well, do it again. Don't try and just push it through. Yeah. So, do you have anything that you sort of look at? And
well, my team and everything, it's about loving and serving others, right?
Yeah.
So, in other words, everything we do, we try to love and serve our clients, our suppliers. So even our suppliers,
Right.
we want to make sure that, we treat them with respect. We treat them
That's good.
kindly. Anybody that works with us, we want to make sure that we do that. So what does that look like in action? I mean, that really looks like, being sacrificial in your time and the things that you're doing for the benefit of the team, the others on your team, as well as your suppliers, as well as your clients, right? And thinking of them before ourselves. And so that's a big thing within our company. But the other thing, and you you just reminded me of this, is, that I've thought of and I've even talked to my team about, is you're only a failure if you don't pick yourself back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all going to, and I tell my team that, because some of them get worried when they mess up, and so I tell them, you're only a failure if you don't pick yourself back up. We're all going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's about how you improve going forward,
and
what you do going forward that's going to matter.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're nearing the end of the interview. I've been really enjoying talking to you. It's actually interesting.
Same.
Thank goodness we're getting a conference coming back again where we can all get together.
I'm so, even my wife Leslie, she's looking forward to it.
I'm looking
we had
forward
such a
to
good
it.
time.
And now we're going to the Dominican Republic, and so you and I are we're gonna have a happy hour when we're over there, because I think all the bars it's all inclusive, so I'm looking forward to that. So what would you be drinking with me at a happy hour?
Okay, so it would probably be, depending on my mood. Bourbon neat. So I'm a big bourbon guy. Been to Kentucky, done the whole bourbon trail thing, and that was really fun. Or when it comes to beer, I've been stuck on IPAs for a while. Not that I don't like a good stout or a good porter or Hefeweizen or anything, but my go-to is an IPA. So I would say bourbon neat or IPA. Good bourbon.
Right.
What about you?
Well,
what would yours be?
Well, people would say it would be Jack, right? Jack Daniels. I've got a whole bar here, which I don't have anymore. I got rid of it because I can't take it with me. And I'll send you a picture. It's got all the Jack Daniels paraphernalia and bottles that you could ever wish for. I think it's probably one of the bigger collections in this country. So, but I guess when I'm at a beach, I'm going to have to drink some cocktail or something, but it's not my first choice. I prefer red wine.
Well, that's true. When I'm on the beach, I drink drinks that I would never drink when I'm not at the beach. Right? Right? I mean, I do the same. And then I'll drink those.
And then when you're in Cancun, you're going to drink a tequila, or I heard now a banderita.
That's true. When we're in Cancun, and by the way, we've been just outside of Cancun. There's a little island called Isla Mujeres, and we've been there 3 times this year already.
Wow.
We love going there. And to Cancun 2 of those times. Yeah. So we did both in one trip. But when we're there, we drink what's called caipirinhas.
Oh.
And so it's cachaça. It's a Brazilian liqueur, liquor that's clear. Yeah. And then it's limes, sugar, and we like to have them add blackberries to it. Muddle it all up, right? And so that's what we drink typically when we're there, is caipirinhas. So that's probably what I'll be drinking.
I had a bad experience with caipirinhas in London many, many years ago. I think I had too many of those. But they're very...
Oh, really? Okay, so you've had them before,
Yeah, as you were saying it, I remember. That's what I was heard them squashing the lime and the sugar.
Yeah.
And you drink them like a cold drink, but if it's too strong, it's like, wow.
Well, we make them here at home sometimes now.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Jeremy, thanks so much. You've spent, 40 minutes with me. If you had the opportunity to be somewhere else right now at this time, what would you be wanting to do?
Yeah, so obviously my wife's my best friend. Hanging out with her anywhere is great. But if it wasn't that, I was just doing this a week ago, and that's backpacking and hiking in the mountains somewhere. So I try to do that once a year, pack on my back, 50 pounds or so, hiking up a mountain, setting up camp, and then doing it again the next day.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it's fun to get out in the wilderness and the peace and quiet and great scenery. I have run upon several bears, but luckily they've been, they've been pretty docile. Yeah, I was one time I was like 5 foot away from this enormous bear,
Wow.
just trying to make myself look bigger, yelling at him, "Hey, bear!" And he just stands up on 2 feet,
Oh, that's
and I'm
terrifying.
looking up at him, and then he just looks at me like I'm nothing, gets on all fours, and walks around this little bush
Wow.
and goes away.
Yeah, look, the first thing is coming off is the 50-pound backpack. You're going to have to get moving.
Yes, yes.
You know,
But yeah, I enjoy being in the outdoors for sure. Hiking, backpacking.
yeah, it's the same here in South Africa. We just love the outdoors, and we call it the bush, on safari
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And you also,
I know. I've seen some of your pictures on Facebook. It's
so
awesome.
It's really great. Well,
That's
Jeremy,
awesome.
thanks so much for sharing your story with
sir.
us. It's been amazing. I'm really excited to see you guys again, because we
Same.
actually spent a bit of time in Cancun, but we could catch up
Yeah.
again.
Sounds good to me, Francois.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. I'll chat to you again sometime.
All right. Take care. Have a nice day.
Cheers. Okay, bye.